Hello, welcome back to another Theory Thursday. Today we are looking at a chord analysis for the tune Beyond the Sea. It's a lot like Autumn Leaves, believe it or not. It was a French tune called La Mer, written in 1946 by Charles Trenet. And then you guys know it, or I knew it at least, as Beyond the Sea, popularized by Bobby Darin. And the English lyrics were written by Jack Lawrence, 1959. So that's what we're looking at today, Beyond the Sea. I've got my Casio AQ230G on and my brown knit tie. That's what we got going on. As always, if you've been enjoying the theory videos, tune videos, any of it, like and subscribe is always appreciated. Of course, not necessary. Just keeps the channel going and the community growing. So, without further ado, Beyond the Sea, chord analysis. Let's go. Here we are, Beyond the Sea, Charles Trenet. So, let's just get right into it. Key of F. How do I know? First chord's an F. Key is either F major or D minor, and I see that we end on an F. Now, if this were D minor, we'd be seeing a lot of C sharps, and I'm not seeing any in here. We do get some here, but we'll explain that in a little bit. Okay, so we're in the key of F. So let's spell this out. F, G, A, B, C, D, E. Okay, now we got one flat. This is going to be the 1 chord, 2 chord, 3 chord. I can write in the minors here. 4 chord, 5, 6, and of course our diminished 7. So there's our key of F. So let's get right to it. Got a 1 chord, 6, 2, 5. One of the most common progressions in jazz. You will see that everywhere, and you'll see it a lot more in this song. So let's keep going. 1, 6, 2, 5. And just to recap why this is so popular is it's a chain of 5 chords. So we'll start here. We know we're trying to get to F. So the 5th of F is a C. So they put a C chord here. Now, how do you get to C? Well, you take the 5th of that. What's the 5th away that would lead to a C? Well, you get a G. Now, you could put a G dominant 7 here, but that would be outside of the key as we drew it out here. So you put a G minor there. We're still in the key of F, and it still drives your ear to this C7 chord. Now, how do you get to a G minor chord? Well, the 5 of G is a D. Same thing. You could put a D7 here, but that would be outside of the key. So we make it a minor, and all of a sudden we're still in the key of F, and we mark it a 6 chord. So just for example, if this was a D7, the way we'd write this is there's 2. You could write this as a major 6, which is outside of the key. The other thing you can do is you can see this is clearly leading to a G chord. So this could be 5 of 2. And that's how you'd write it. It'd be a secondary dominant because it's leading to that 2 chord. But we don't do that. We're still in the key. So let's keep going here. Oops, one more thing to erase. There we go. All right. Speaking of secondary dominants, this is not in the key. Take a look at where we're going. We're going to this 6 chord and then a 5 chord. So what's up with this? Well, just like I explained, easiest way to get to a chord is put the 5 of it right before it. And that's the case here. So we're going to mark this as a 5 of 6. The other way you could do this is a major 3. But just to get the function of what this is doing, we're going to mark this secondary dominant. Okay? Keep on rolling. 1 chord, 6 chord, Oops. 4. And what do we have here? Same thing. This is outside of the key. Could mark that as a major 6, but take a look at where we're going. A little bit more. G minor. So this is 5 of 2. Secondary dominant. 2 chord, 5 chord, 6 chord, 4 chord. And then this is kind of cool. So we'll get back to this. This is just your classic 2-5. And then it repeats, goes back up to that F chord. So it's a 2-5. And then you get your 1 when you make the repeat. So what the heck is this? Well, this fits into the classic 2-5, except this is a dominant chord. So you could write this as a major 2. But in reality, this is a 5 of 5. It's a secondary dominant to the dominant chord. So you could think of this as a G7 measure, and you can think of this as a C7 measure. And this 2 chord here, this G minor 7, is just a passing chord. So it's a chain of dominant 7 chords with the minor chord here just being passing. So that's kind of cool. This chord is leading to this chord, but just to make it really known, the composer's like, okay, just so everyone knows we're still in the key of F, throw in this G minor, then to C, and then we repeat, and that's that. Okay, so let's keep going. Second ending, classic 2-5, 1. Now this gets wonky here. You see the double bar here, which means we're heading into a new section, and just as it so happens, we're heading into a new key. Okay, we're changing to the key of, actually I should put this back here. Okay, we're changing in the key of A, and how do I know that? Taking a look at the key signature here. E to A, that's fine, those are both in the key of F, but then G sharp, that's not in the key of F. C sharp, that's not in the key of F. Also, take a look at these B naturals, also not in the key of F. There's a G sharp again. F sharp, definitely not in the key of F. Okay, so we're obviously in a new key. It's just a matter of which one, and looking at the chord structure here, it's A. It's just A, because take a look at this. If we analyze this in the key of A, we have a 1 chord. So let me erase this. 1 chord. This would be a 6. This would be a 2. This would be a 5. Look familiar? 1 6 2 5. 1 6 2 5. 1 6 2 5. It's the same thing, just in a different key. Even the melody is the same, because look at this. It goes for C. Oops, let me do this. C. Why is my thing being slow? C to F, right? 5 to 1. E to A is a 5 to 1. And we get over here. E, F, G. E is the third of a C7 chord. So let's go here. G sharp, A, B. G sharp is the third of an E7 chord. So it's the same thing. It's just in a new key. So let's keep rolling. A is 1 chord, 6, 2, 5, 1. Okay. Now this also gets wonky here. So you could try to keep analyzing this in A, because, well, actually you can't. Because looking at the chord structure and even just looking at the notes, G is not in the key of A, right? And we can't, I mean, we could just chalk that up to, oh, maybe that's a passing note, but looking at the chords, none of it fits. D minor is not in the key of A. G7 is definitely not in the key of A because that would be a G sharp diminished chord if we were still in the key of A. And then continuing on, C is not, A minor is not, D minor is not. And then we see this C natural as well. C natural, G natural, another C. So we've obviously moved out of A. So how do we know what we're in? Well, I already marked it down. We're moving to the key of C. How do I know that? Because this is a classic 2-5 in the key of C. So just going off that, we'll pretend, okay, what if this leads to C? It does. And not only that, same exact chord structure. 1, 6, 2, 5 in the key of C. So we've changed keys again. And not only that, is take a look at the melody. G to C is a 5-1. And then here, B, C, D. B is the third of G. So it's even the same exact melody line, just in a new key. So this is our third key of the song. We started in F, we moved to A, now we're in C. Okay? So let's keep rolling. So where did I leave off? Right here. 6. Is that secondary dominant we were talking about? So check out the double bar here. We're moving back to the A section. And we're moving back to F. So it's a really cool transition here. We're in the key of C all through here. Right? 1, 6, 2, 5. And he keeps it sounding like we're in C because this is a 6 chord. In C, this would be a D minor. So making it a major would make it sound like this. 5 of 5. And then we'd expect a G7 and then a C. And then we'd be back rocking our usual progression. But that's not what happens here. We get this thing that sounds like a 5 of 5. And then he throws a G minor at us. And then a C7. And then look of where we are. A section, and I see an F. And the melody is C to F, which is another 5-1. So that is screaming to me we're back in the key of F. So let's go back and see how far F actually travels. Well, right here. Because this just so happens to be a 2-5-1 to F. So this chord right here is the genius one because it is out of the key for C, but not so out of the key because it could be a secondary dominant to a G7, which could then lead to a C, and this would be a 5-1. That's not what happens. Let's see if I can undo all this. Nope, I have to erase it. That's not what happens. It sets us up to still get a G chord, but they make it minor and then lead us right into this 5 chord. It's just a beautiful transition. It sounds great. It's just great. There we go. All right, so we're back. It's our next key change. And you know what? I should label these with blue. C, A, in key of F. Okay, so we're back into F. Beautiful. 6, 2, 5, 1, 6, 2, 5. Easy peasy. We've seen this before. 1. I'm going to skip this. This is a 6. So what the heck is this? Well, take a look at where we're coming from. This is a 5 of 6. It's the secondary dominant to get to that D minor 7. 5 chord. Almost done. 1 chord. 6, 4. And this is outside the key, but take a look at where we're going. This 2 chord. So this is a secondary dominant, 5. That's horrible. I'm sorry. Let me rewrite this. 5 of 2. And then we get our 2 chord, we get our 5 chord. 6, 4, and finally, most common progression in jazz, 2, 5, 1. Wow. Okay. So, the cool thing about this song, let me change. Do I have like a green? Oh, yeah. Let's try that. Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, okay. The cool thing about this song is the melody is simple, right? And they kind of just repeat it over and over and over again. But harmonically, we change keys, right? We start in F. We switch to A. We switch to C. We switch back to F. So even though the melody might be, I don't want to say simple, because it is rhythmically cool and it's very, it's a beautiful melody. You can listen to this all day long. But rather than changing the melody, they change the harmony and change the key, making it sound like the song's going somewhere. And when we finally do get back to this key of F, it sounds like we're home, even though we've been hearing the same thing over and over again. I think it's just a real smart way to go about changing aspects of the song that you don't usually change. You know what I mean? So change, like making the song interesting in ways that usually we don't. Like throw a bridge in, change the key, change the melody, everything, change the rhythm. But no, these composers said no. Keep the melody, keep the rhythm exactly the same. Just change the key 3 times. So yeah, it's just fascinating. Great song, great tune. So I think that's enough information for today. Oh, that was weird. All my chords down here disappeared. There we go. That's enough information for today. Hopefully you learned something, or at least found this interesting. And we'll see you for the next one.